look at a seller or a buyer, kind of dealing with multiple, negotiations back and forth, be able to get true and transparent data instead of just relying on Instagram reels and WhatsApp messages, which really don't really give you too much, right?
So Imran, where do you see UAE property market by 2030?
So as Dubai market matures and matures by the time, we'll see a lot less amateur investors, much more informed. The industry will be much more regulated. And also, now that prop tech is coming through, and that is why this inspiration for Boli came through to make life easier for people. So a lot more digital and a lot more technology based. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Beyond the Skyline. I'm your host Imran Aga, CEO of Boli.ae. Today I have the pleasure of hosting one of my very dear friends and an ex-fellow colleague, Vitali, an absolute shark in the real estate industry. It's a real pleasure to have you, Vitali.
Thanks, Imran, for the wonderful intro. You are no less of a shark yourself, a seasoned real estate expert, now innovating one of the most revolutionary prop tech platforms in the UAE.
This is going to be an awesome and very informative session for the real estate industry, so can't really wait.
Looking forward. Let's start. By the way, do you feel that although Dubai is one of the most advanced cities in the world, the way people buy property still feels outdated?
Completely. The city basically runs on innovation, but real estate transactions are generally very outdated in terms of the regular documentation and paperwork and so on and so forth. So that's what you want to eradicate and make it very digital.
Yeah, true. And half the time buyers don't even know if the price they seen is real, especially when they're talking about the portals here by your property finder. We know that sometimes it's not always correct data not because of the portal, because of the agents they do in the fake listings and other things.
That is true, and that is what brings in a lot of uncertainty, and the emotions come in, and lack of clarity or all these things. So that is also something we're looking at to improvise and make things easier for the buyer, where he can make a more informed decision.
So Imran, let me flip the question to you. Why did you feel the market needed something like Boli? How could you explain Boli in simple terms?
Boli is the first and the only digital auction platform that we brought into the market. It's because auctions have been there for a while in the world, but this is never been digital. So the idea is to make things very simple at a touch of a button and create more transparency, because listings by itself just don't solve the problem.
Yeah.
So the buyers need to be more informed. They need to be able to make the right decision, not based on emotions, but based on actual data and statistics.
So that's why you feel that the market needed something like Boli.
Yes, exactly, because there's that gap, right? Because you're still doing the traditional stuff. All these agents, look at a seller or a buyer, kind of dealing with multiple, negotiations back and forth.
Yeah.
Lack of transparency, not having the right information. So we eradicate all that, and we put that all into the system where everything and all these information through actual portals and through actual data centers, where all these informations can be matched. Actual prices can be also taken out in terms of what the average transactions have been in the last 6 months. Be able to get true and transparent data instead of just relying on Instagram reels and WhatsApp messages, which really don't really give you too much, right?
Correct. So it makes sense makes life easier maybe for the buyers, for investors, and also at the same time even for the brokers, because you do something innovative that brokers can list on the platform. Because usually let's say if you're talking about Emirates auction, that's from the government, and usually
and there are litigation properties, also stock property. So here it not only makes life easier, but it also gives the broker more control.
Yeah.
Normally, we've been in this industry for long. Normally what happens, you make those calls, you'll get a property listed, you don't have control of that property, you put it up on a portal.
Yeah.
You'll get calls, most of the calls will be coming through other agents as well, and then you start those negotiations, you go viewings, you show those properties. By the time you end up getting to a fair price and settling something with the buyer, put up the offer, the properties are not there. So that is where control comes in for the agent as well, where they can give this property to us, be it through our expertise, then put it out into the market, onto the portal,
right,
and reach out to these buyers, and where these brokers can then focus on other views and make more money.
Right. So let me ask you, is it about speed or about control?
So see, obviously, in terms of speed, you're looking at, first of all, the seller initially understands that this is the reserve price that they've set. So the expectations are not high and they are very real. And then also it's very time bound. So normally what we do is, once we take up a property, with doing the KYC and getting everything up in order, putting it on the portal for a week or 2 weeks, depending on the type of property it has. So generally a turnaround time of 1 month is good enough. So it gives comfort to the buyer, right? I have a price which I've agreed, and I will potentially be able to sell my property within that month. And then you also have to look, because Dubai is an investor-driven market, right? So a lot of investors look at opportunities ahead of time where, so for example, you buy a property, you bought it off plan at a certain price, the price has gone up 50-60%. You don't see much more margin coming through, but you already have another opportunity coming.
Yes.
So you won't mind reducing your price by 5, 7, 10% to be able to turn it around quicker with this clarity that I mentioned about earlier. And then diverge into the other opportunity that you have.
You work so closely with investors and end users as well. What's the biggest shift you've seen in the real estate market?
So, Dubai was a lot about hype earlier days. Now it's more about statistics and data.
Right.
So, but because I've been in the industry for the last 20 years, with the market fluctuating up and down, so on and so forth, those things have also streamlined. The government has helped us getting all those things organized, with all the escrows coming in,
Right.
with all the regulations for all the developers and so on and so forth, to be able to have enough resources to be able to acquire the land, put in that money in the escrow account, or to be able to build a 30% of the project and then launch it accordingly. So if somebody's invested that time and that sort of resource in terms of money, which would probably calculate to about 35-40% of the total project volume. So it makes things much more credible that way, So now real buyers are coming in. They're not looking at that hype. They look at now the numbers, the timely deliveries, what sort of returns they're going to get, what sort of investments are looking at, short-term investments. They're looking at long-term investments. And that was also one of the primary reasons that we looked at Boli.ae to come through, where we could, eradicate all these aspects and make a lot of clarity in terms of how property purchase is to be done in. Yeah, so I'd like to ask you, Vitali, what do you think are the 3 main mistakes that an investor makes?
Okay, first of all, in my opinion, I always say that investors, they need to do their own due diligence always. So they need to, of course, they deal with the professional brokers and developers, but still they need to do their own due diligence first of all. And mistakes, I think first that they buy on emotion, and that's not always the best thing when you're talking about the investment. So it's not about emotion. You need to do your due diligence. And then second, I think not understanding the hidden costs of investing, and especially like service charges and other things. And also assuming that Dubai, it's a short-term flip market. So especially because a lot of new brokers, they promoting that you buy it today, you sell it tomorrow with a 30%.
And what these people then take double or triple the exposure, expecting that they will, with the amount of money that they have, they put it all in, and then they don't have money to pay going forward.
Exactly.
So that makes it very tricky.
Yeah, recently one of the clients in inquiry from my YouTube channel, they called me. They said, "Vitali, could you help me to sell my units? I have 3 units with one developer, and I cannot sell it." The payment plan was like in the 40 during construction, 60 on handover. And the broker who sold them 2 years ago or 3 years ago, they told them, initially a client came for 1 unit. They said, "Why don't you buy 3 units? You have the money, you buy the down payment, and in 6 months you're going to flip it for your 1 year." But then, it's not always the case, because there are many factors, because there are a lot of units on the market and other things. So it's not always guaranteed you can flip it.
Yeah, and the vendors generally, because if you're looking especially larger developments, they have so much stock themselves that obviously they want to push that by itself. And that is why, like you said, having information and doing your own due diligence and research is very important. I'd like to ask you another question. Although I know the answer, what do you prefer, or what do you think people should invest in more off-plan or ready property, and why?
Okay, so first of all, I'm 10 years in the market. I'm doing off-plan for, let's say, 8-9 years since the beginning. Actually, I started with working with developers, then brokerage, and my focus always off-plan. But so I would choose off-plan, but again, it depends on the client. So mostly, like when I meet the client for the first time, like I want to understand what his objective. And like if someone, let's say, they have the full amount cash and they want immediately rental income, or they want to move in into their property, like they don't need off-plan. I let them be better buy the secondary, and maybe when I advise them the agent or agency where to go and where to buy. But there are advantages, of course, buying the off-plan, but still you need to do your due diligence, and then important the developer you choose, the location, and that's what's your objective. Either it's a rental income, then maybe some developed areas, established areas, so you can easily rent it out. If you're more focused on capital appreciation, then you go for the new areas, new locations, master communities. You entering into the first phase in the master community, so you can expect the most capital appreciation. And then if you want to flip it on handover, or you want to finance it at the bank, so all of this, like my opinion, you need to understand what is the objective, because one product can be good for one client, another product can be good for another client. So it depends on the client, on his requirements, and then accordingly we choose. Maybe better for him secondary, maybe better off plan, and it depends. So
understood. So in addition to that, generally now we're looking at a lot of luxury and branded residents coming through. So as an investor, what would your advice be to the investors to be buying those luxury segments or getting into the mid-tier quality development?
Also, it depends, because I noticed that there are some buyers that they buy in a branded residences, let's say whatever, Bugatti, Cavalli. So they buy in more because they want to be part of that brand. So they buy in like for the prestige, for the name. So they don't care much about what will be the rental income or what they're going to flip it or not. So that's because initially I thought it's mostly about the money and numbers, but it's not always the case. So like if it's kind of emotion maybe as well, but like if someone wants to live in a Cavalli branded tower, like why not? If it's their famous,
And if you can less, then you can
yes, it's their favorite brand, they want to be associated with the brand, to have the property in that building just like for the name prestige, and maybe they get less return on investment, but they want to be with this brand. Like for example, Mercedes branded towers, like we don't know it will be good investment or not good investment, but if someone wants to have a property in Mercedes branded tower, like why not?
I understand. So generally, if I would say, if it would be a first-time buyer and somebody who's really entering the market with who's not that well established, but has the resources to buy and enter into the Dubai real estate market, the mid-tier level properties would probably be better, like a Masjid is in the newer areas, on and off plan, where generally developers, when they launch, they give you an postcard payment. Correct. So, and now with these holiday homes coming through and, and so many things, and we've seen that these developers, most of the developers are now focusing, obviously location is important, but they're also focusing on amenities within the business. So the more amount of amenities that the developer incorporates within the building adds more value in terms of the price, and then obviously going forward, the capital appreciation. And then also, even when you want to resell it, or even if you want to retain it and put it out into a short term or even a long term, leasing the rental yields, because there's so many case studies. If you look at, for example, JVC, one of the more highest transaction areas in Dubai for the last 3-4 years. So you've got properties which vary in prices between 60 to 70%, and that is the only reason, because the location is generally the same. But because of the thought the developers have brought in, and the amenities and facilities they've brought in into those buildings, which make them much more higher in demand, and then investors and like end users like getting into those properties.
100% yes. So it depends on the client, and also as you mentioned, in the same area it could be like one bedroom, let's say one building, another building can be price almost double in price, because it's an older building, newer building, amenities and other things. So that's
and also this hype about, we talk about, we hear about this oversupply in the market. The market is being flooded with properties. There is so much oversupply coming. What is your take on that?
So that's always a question what I hear from my clients, my investors. So first of all, there is data from Dubai Land Department and from government. Last year in 2025, officially, the government issued around 200,000 new Emirates IDs. So officially 200,000 new residents. That's with Emirates ID. And a lot of people, they come in for 2 months, 3 months, they don't have Emirates ID, right? So it's probably more. Official population now in Dubai, 4 million people.
Just
last year increased 5%. this year, 2026, expected even more, maybe 5-6%. So it's another 250,000 residents, plus people who come in to stay for 3 months, 6 months. They are not residents.
And so, yeah, not because they're sort of investors who got probably offices or set up for some trading.
Yes.
A safe haven, first of all, the best part is probably the currency spec to the dollar. So there's a fluctuation, which from our parts of the world, we really face a lot. And then, no taxation, no capital gains, no taxation. And and even the yields, if you look at international markets, which are established and, the high Singapore, New York, London, the prices still are lower and the yields are much higher.
Yes, true, 100%. Yeah, and if you compare to international markets, like people get 3-4% return on investment, they pay in taxes, capital gain tax, income tax. Here we don't have tax, and also the price per square foot is very competitive comparing to international markets like London, New York, Singapore. Prices are much lower. And talking about 2026, so let's say the expectation another 200,000 residents or 250. So official data, the last year it was I think around 40,000 units were handed over. So this year they projected maybe more, but usually developers delay. So let's say the same, around 40,000 units. So 200,000 new residents, 40,000 units. So even if you calculate 3 people per unit, still the new demand is higher than new supply.
And then the government also is now actively looking at in terms of how many projects are being launched.
Yes.
And the approvals.
If they regulate for the demand and supply, they can see. Yes.
And also looking back up, so like I said, you've been here 10 years, I've been here 20 years. We've seen a shift of the sort of nationalities who have been buying into the UAE. When I came here, there were a lot of, locals, obviously, and then the Middle East areas and the Iranians, bit of Indian, Pakistan as well.
Yep.
But over the years, we've seen that evolvement. And now I think I can safely say over 185 different nationalities actively participate in UAE, in Dubai.
Yes.
And it's real estate, yeah?
Yes, true. From all over the world, and like before, as you mentioned, yes, there's mostly GCC, India, Pakistan. Now, a lot of buyers from Europe, from France, from Germany, from Switzerland, and UK. Especially, we always see in news what's happening. They stealing your phones and watches on the streets, so it's not safe. And a lot of clients, they are moving with the main reason, the security, the safety and security. First reason, second, taxes. And weather also for them, like in UK, it's always raining, dark. Here is sun, 330 days sun. And also from United States and Canada, also we can see a lot of demand.
Yes, I see. You know what? Maybe 5-6 years ago, there were people buying from America, but they were still expats from Southeast Asia. But now we look at actual
Americans
coming in.
Yeah.
And similarly, like you mentioned about Europe, the Germans, the Italians. You'll be surprised. I don't know. I'm sure in the last 6 months, the Italians are now in the top 10, and obviously you have the Saudis, the Pakistanis, the British, and even in Britain, we've got a lot of expatriates who have been aware that we very actively, buying into real estate.
So, Iran, where do you see UAE property market by 2030?
So as Dubai market matures and matures by the time, we'll see a lot less amateur investors, much more informed. The industry will be much more regulated. And also, now that PropTech is coming through, and that is why this inspiration for Boli came through to make life easier for people. So a lot more digital and a lot more technology based. So Vitali, tell me, in your thoughts, what and who are the top developers in the market, and what sort of change are they bringing to this industry?
I think for last maybe 10 years, more or less, we have the few developers always in top 10 that all of us know. Yeah, it's Emaar, Meraz, Nahil, Damak, and now the Meraz, Nahil, Meydan, and District 1 is merging. One developer in Dubai holding, then obviously Emaar, Damak now, they doing very well. The sales, if you heard about the Damak Islands, they sold like 10 billion dirhams in one day. So definitely they are maybe number 1 and number 2. So obviously the biggest developers, and then we have developers who are like for a long time on the market, and now they're doing very well. Like for example, Benghazi, what they're doing now, collaboration with the Bugatti, with Mercedes, and the speed of construction they building is unbelievable. Yes, unbelievable. And definitely Danube, also when they started initially in 2014 with this 1% payment plan, it's still working well, and people buying residents, they buying for themselves.
That is true. That's what I wanted to say. With this 1% plan, even if the properties are priced a little higher, it makes it much more affordable for the blue collar, white collar people.
Exactly.
Where the aspiration was always there, but the opportunity was not there. But also the banks have helped with the interest rate, which has come down. That has also made life much easier. And a lot of smart investors I've seen over the last few years, waiting for the right opportunity, looking at the right property, buying it, and then most of the time the installments that they have to pay are covered by the rents.
Yes, exactly.
So buy wisely with the right developer at the right price or in the right location, and there's no other way other than success. I think.
True. Also, we can mention some other developers. I believe you're a friend of the owner, and they doing very well. I remember in 2018 we were selling like exclusively. We had some units in their first project, Samana Greens, and other. Now they have, mashallah, I know 30 or 40 projects, and they are probably in top 10 developers now as well. Also with the payment plan. So there are a lot of new developers in Dubai, and they doing very well. But still, I think in the top 10. Developers for a long time on the market, like 10 or 20 years.
Correct. So also now that Dubai has, they are in the forefront of innovation and improvising and adding so much value to people who live here, and also to encourage a lot of new people coming in and settling in here through various mediums. And one of the things is the visa.
Yes.
So what initiatives have they taken in terms of the visa processes, and what advantages is given to?
So now a lot of changes recently also, because when they introduced the property investor visa or golden visa, initially it was much more difficult to get it. The requirements were higher. But now, because initially, let's say in golden visa, you need to pay 1 million in order to get. Now, for example, for golden visa, if you're buying property from developer, more than 2 million, only paying the down payment and registering, getting the OCUD, based on that, you can apply for golden visa. Of course, this property will be blocked in case you want to sell the property. You need to cancel the golden visa, which makes sense. So buying property for 2 million, paying, let's say, 20% plus registration, you can apply for the golden visa. For investors visa, which is they also reduced from 1 million to 750. So now requirements, if you buy a property, 750,000 dirhams, $205,000.
Right.
And based on that, you can apply for investors visa.
Right.
And you get it for 2 years. So the difference for golden visa is for 10 years. For this visa, it's for 2 years or 3 years. And then imagine only $200,000 and you can get your Emirates ID, you get your local driving license and all the things. It's a good opportunity for people who wants to move to Dubai.
So, like you mentioned, now that you can buy a property which is valued at 2 million, and you pay the 20% down payment, get your visa registration. What if somebody wants to sell and change to another property? How would that work then? Retain the...
Yeah, so now the process is very simple. Before, you need to go to Dubai Land Department. They had this office where you do apply for all of this. Now it can be done online on the website. You submit your OCUD, your passport copy details. You pay the fee, which is 10,000 dirhams. And then it's renewable every 3 years for normal visa, and for golden visa.
So you can what you're saying is you can transfer from one to another.
Yes, you can change later. Let's say if you want, because property will be blocked, and in case if you want to sell this property, you need to change it to another property, or you need to cancel the visa. Then you can sell the property. Yes. So you cannot buy the property, get the visa, sell the property, and keep the visa. You cannot do that.
So again, coming back. So basically, if you buy another property of similar value, above 1 million, you register that property in the system, and then the other blocked property will be unblocked, and you can.
Yes, you can change some exact process. Like I think for clients, better to check yourself and to what's the exact procedure, but it is possible. So you can change it in from one property to another, and then you can sell it.
Okay. Fair.
Then talking about investors, where they should focus more on prime locations or more like developed urban areas?
Okay, so for me, I mean, this is my opinion. I always look at a pyramid.
Yeah.
So if you look at the prime areas, you're always on the top of the pyramid.
Correct.
So being on the top of the pyramid, you have less opportunities and less people around who have those resources. You'll be able to buy those properties. So I would myself look in those urban areas where there is more volume. So places like we mentioned earlier, JVC, Arjan, Dubai Land, even Marina for that matter, or because these are the places where a lot of transactions take place. So entry and exit both are easier.
Yeah, correct.
Places like Marina and also these sort of places, the rentals are faster, and you can get buyers accordingly.
Correct. Easier to rent, easier to sell if you need. Because if we buy in development areas like outside the city, maybe long term it has more potential, but in case if you need to exit, it's more difficult.
Yeah, and again the luxury segment, again like this you mentioned earlier, that's a different niche, and that's not really it's not really an investment that way. It's an investment for personal satisfaction, or if you have those resources, you buy it, and then you don't mind if lower yields just because you have I have a property in Mercedes Palace, or I have a Bugatti property, so on and so forth. So those emotions come in.
Absolutely. So it depends on the client, depends on the investor. So what's their objective? If they want to buy it for long term, if you want for immediate rental income, or if they want to stay there, or they just want like the trophy asset. Yeah, they say you buy trophy asset like Burj Khalifa. Yeah, people lost money in Burj Khalifa, most of the clients, but like to own an apartment in the tallest building in the world. So
that's iconic, right?
Yes, yes, exactly. Yeah.
I have $1 billion question for you, by the way. You've been now in the industry for the last 10 years.
Yes.
Why haven't you thought about opening your own company?
Okay, so honestly, I thought about opening the company, but then first of all, with Aqua, I'm for 9 years with Aqua Properties, so the brokerage I joined in 2017 until now, and so I'm not considering other big companies. They always calling me, messaging me, recruiters to join, but many reasons why I like the company. Because the company growing and developing, we have 4 offices, we are also developer, property management, contracting, and holiday homes, of everything, and also the people that we have. So it's like family already, and you know that you was with us.
That is the reason I was there as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, and then about opening own company, a lot of my friends, they open their own company, and in my opinion, just some people, they said, oh, I will open the company because I'll get more commission. Why should I share the commission, whatever, 50% or 40%, why should I give to the company? But the hassle and the headache and all of this admin work that you need to do, the license, the rent, the salary, and now it's AML, KYC, it's become very strict.
So many come through.
Yes, and you're responsible for all of that, and you have a lot of expenses now for portals, Property Finder, Boli.ae. So even if I'm doing off-plan, still the off-plan property one day will be ready. We need to sell it or rent it. So if I have a company, I have to have a portals and Boli.ae Property Finder. But now, let's say if you're a big company and you have like 1,000 listings, then the price is much lower per listing comparing if you take a small package and you have like 10 listings or 20 listings. The cost is very high.
So yes, much for cost of everything becomes.
Yes, so just basic even expenses. Let's say you license, then you rent a small office, and then pay for the portals, pay all the corporate taxes, and you work on your own deals, and then to cover all these expenses, eventually maybe you get even less than 50% of commission plus all of this headache, let's say.
I agree with you in a way, because see, I've been on the safe side of the fence, right?
Yeah.
And even I had that aspiration, but putting all that together, it also gave me a lot more liberty.
Yes.
To be able to live life on my own terms.
Exactly.
Travel the world whenever I wanted to, and then also be able to focus on my network and build on my network, and create more value for them, give them more time, and that helped them and me, literally, because we all came to Dubai when Dubai was a virgin market, and not many people. And then over the period of time, we all evolved and grew together, which was amazing.
Absolutely. And now I travel a lot, almost every 2 months I'm going somewhere. I was in 61 countries. I have freedom. I can. I don't go to office every day. So, and my friends who open their own companies, they didn't travel for 1 year because they have all of these responsibilities and things at the clients. And then you need to, if you hire people, the salaries, the admin, you need to pay for all of that. And if someone has the, let's say, their motivation initial goal to build a big company, the name, the brand, if it's their main goal, not for the commission, not to make money from the agents, because like how you can compete with the big companies who 20 years on the market to bring a good agent. So only initially maybe you bring few friends, they will join you, but then eventually they will leave you also. And if you bring the new agents, you train them, they will go to the after 1 year to the big company. So how you can compete? So but still, if someone, for example, one of my good friends, he used to work with us also in 2017 in Aqua, he opened his own company. It was his dream from day one in Dubai to build his own company, to build the brand, to build the name. So it's not about the money, it's about to have their to be a CEO, to have their own company, and then he's doing quite well, he's successful. But if just because of the commission, it doesn't make sense. Yes.
But I've seen your journey very closely. You yourself are still an entrepreneur in a way. You've
Yes.
built up your own YouTube channel, and the upcoming people and the upcoming people who are coming into this industry should take a leaf out of this to be able to understand how important social media has become. You've created a beautiful YouTube channel that's a legacy of its own, and I believe most of your business is through what you do and the presentations that you make through your channel.
Yes, most of my business, I used to say 50%, now maybe even more, 60% or 70% of my deals, my transactions and leads from my YouTube channel. And yeah, it works well. And like sometimes, because I have channel for let's say 8 years or 9 years, since 2017, and people watching for many years, and then when the right project I post online, it fits the requirements, they contact me, and then within 1 day or within few hours we book a unit. So but it's because they watching me for a long time, I'm doing it for also, if I have 1,000 videos, more than 1,000 videos on my channel. So like the credibility, or they see all my RERA certificates, all my broker card, and I do it for 9 years. Where is my office? I work for big company, so like they can.
You start from somewhere, right?
Yeah, of
There's
course.
always the start.
Of course,
Many
of
of you do, and to make something great in life,
Yes.
you have to start somewhere.
Absolutely,
Perfect.
absolutely, yeah. So it takes time, but it's worth it, because now in Dubai we have, I believe, 32,000 registered brokers, and maybe let's say 20,000 without broker card. Yeah, so it's more than 50,000 agents in Dubai. So we can say that people who make money, it's only top 10% or 20%. All over in Dubai for the brokers and in any company. If you, let's say, company with 100 agents, people who make good money, it's a 10% or 20%.
That's the ratio.
So yeah, that's the ratio. But to be in this, someone, Brian Tracy, he says like to someone who's in top 10%, he used to be before in down 10% or in that 90%. But the goal is to move from that 90% to move to top 10%. It takes time, but in real estate, it's very rewarding. Yeah,
But to be able to be in that 10%, what are the key ingredients, and what do you need to be doing right to get there? What do you?
I would say like focus and consistency. Consistency. So you initially you try everything. So first of all, you need to decide if you do, let's say, if you do secondary, you do off plan, or it's good to start sometimes from rentals. Because I used to do rentals in 2018 because it's fast and you close deals and like you keep the momentum going. Because if you start off plan and 4 months you don't close any deals, like it's demotivating. Yes, psychologically even. So to start, and then later you try everything, and then you see what works best. For example, I tried cold calls, like emails, networking, events, and then social media. Then I see I get leads from social media, from YouTube. I start focus more on that. I get more leads. I start closing